Okay, August 27th. It's Friday. A little bit of rain here in the Villages, Florida. Wasn't planning on doing a weather report, but I know there's tropical storms actually not coming in our area. That's kind of a thing. That's like a misconception that like we get all these hurricanes. And I think the last couple of years, most of the hurricanes we've had a couple over the last 10 years, but most of the hurricanes haven't hit Florida. Usually they'll hit North Carolina. Actually, one in the Northeast this week or last week. One that's heading towards Louisiana. Unfortunately, hopefully everybody stays safe. If you're in those areas, please stay safe. But something that doesn't happen as frequently as what people may think. There's a lot of things like that in life, I think. So that's definitely a thing. We're going to talk about what's going on in the market in the Villages last 7-day numbers. Also, we're going to talk about affordability. Affordability is going to be a big thing, and I think in most markets, I also, obviously I'm the broker of realty executives in the Villages and in Ocala as well, and obviously I get a chance. I'm kind of like in a little bit of a unique position because I hear of what's going on in the marketplace directly from our clients, directly from our agents that are on the ground floor. Like I'm hearing things all the time, so I know what people are doing. I see things also on our site, buy, sell the Villages. Some people are ready to buy. Some people are saying no. I'm a little bit afraid of COVID, or maybe the prices have gone a little bit too high for me. And there is a little bit of that. I wouldn't say it's rampant, but there is some of that. And I think that is, obviously a concern when you're looking at the lower levels of a market. Every market has a bottom level. For instance, I have a coaching client. I also coach for the Tom Ferry organization that works with real estate agents and gets them to perform at a higher rate. And that's what I also do, obviously, for my agents, my realtors here at Realty Executives. And so one of the things, oh yes, the flannel queen, yes, flannel. That's Carrie. She handles our seasonal bookings and for rental. So if you're actually looking for a seasonal rental in the Villages, there are a few availability, right, Carrie?
Yep, hit me up.
That's right. So, and just ask her when you talk to her, ask her if she's wearing flannel. Right. So it could be just like the State Farm commercials of like Jake at State Farm, and is he wearing khakis? That's going to be Carrie wearing flannel. Flannel Fridays for Carrie. So she's going to be more famous than I am, I think. Not that I'm famous, but she's going to go viral. So look, I think when we're looking at affordability and lower levels of the marketplace, we're looking at different things. So for instance, I've got a client in Bozeman, Montana. And Bozeman, Montana, if you don't know Bozeman, mountain country, it's one, like there's a place called, what is that called? Jackson Hole, Wyoming. High end, super high end. I mean, average sales price there is like $2 million, I think. And that's like, you don't get much. I mean, there's $20 million properties there. Bozeman, Montana is like one step below, and their floor is like 400,000. Our floor in the Villages, as we've talked about in the past, used to be 10 years ago, you can buy a patio villa for 125, 5-6 years ago or 7 years ago. And now, obviously patio villas are, 250 and above. And that's basically where the floor is for patio villas. Anything under that, we're seeing some properties. I can think of a couple of properties that are right now currently that are like 2.2s, maybe with like a 1-car garage, close to the Spanish Springs area for like 225 to 240. Manufactured housing also not too far away from Spanish Springs in the historic section might be, you can find a fixer upper for 125, but more likely something that's ready to move into, that's going to be like 175 range, in that ballpark. We are seeing, so the bottom level, the affordability factor for people that are paying cash, if you only had 200,000, it's a stretch. Like you might be priced out a little bit out of this marketplace with cash. But there, other mitigating factors, like if you're doing financing, maybe not so much. Or we're going to hit upon that. We're going to look at affordability factors in a minute. So really consider looking at what is happening in the market. So some of you are going to be looking at the Villages, some of you outside the Villages. If you need a recommendation for a great realtor let me know if you need some help with that. You know where to find me here. Put it in the comments section. If you have questions about what's going on in the villages, please leave your comments here, and try to answer that. Try to do it live. I'm actually live now, or later on down the road. If you're seeing this down the road and I'm not live, obviously, then I can respond after the fact. And of course, please subscribe to our channel so you can be notified when I am doing a new update. And we're going to talk about 7-day numbers in a minute. Actually, let's cover the 7-day numbers first, then we're going to cover affordability factors. And I think that's going to lead you to some different conclusions. Because I think a lot of people are looking at, things aren't as affordable anymore, and they're only looking at price. So let's look at, not this, I want to look at right here. Hopefully you can see that. That's not the screen I want to share with you. That's why we're doing this live. So you can see the wrong screen. So let me open up the right screen. I'll look at this. I think we are, nope, same screen. There we go. Bear with me. There we go. Okay, so this is what I want you to look at. We're looking at here in this market watch here that I'm circling, new listings in the last 7 days, 21. See if I can make this a little bit, hopefully that's a little bit bigger for you. But right here in this area, you're going to see new listings. This is 7-day numbers just for the villages, right? So, and that includes the historic section, all the way from 42, all the way south of 44, across the turnpike, all the way into Coleman, into Magnolia Grove, Chitty Chatty, Fenny, all those areas, covering Brownwood, covering Sumter Landing, the whole enchilada. It's everything in the villages on MLS, not VLS, which is the developers' side of things. And they're very similar in inventory, by the way. So new listings 21, price increases 2, price decreases 14. So what we are seeing is some people trying to push the envelope. Let's price it here a little bit above the market. Let's see if we can get that because inventory is light. We're looking at 78 new property, not 78 new, 78 active properties that are available right at the moment in the villages only. So, and surrounding areas feeling the same experience. I did a YouTube earlier on a different channel for the Ocala market, and inventory there went down and actually has climbed up a little bit. Same here in the villages where we saw a low of like upper 40s, like 48, probably about 6-7 weeks ago, and it's climbed up actually all the way to like lower 80s, and then it's kind of settled down in the 60s. Now it's come up to 78, so it's kind of bouncing around, as far as inventory goes. So new listings 21, price increases 2, price decreases 14, back on the market 9. That means something happened, maybe home inspection went south, or something happened, they weren't in agreement. We had a situation where people just walked away from a deal for no reason, and obviously in that case the sellers had legal rights to their escrow money. So that's a thing that does happen. People just completely change their mind. $10,000 in fact. Sold 47 closed properties in the last 7 days here in the villages. Pretty aggressive number. Nothing expired, of course, no leased. We do property management here as well. So if you need help with that, or you need a rental, let us know. As you saw, Carrie walked in before. 58 pending properties, which is really significant. That's pretty aggressive, right? That's an aggressive number that we've seen. Over the last 7 days. That's a lot of properties going under contract. So what we're seeing is demand is still there, a little bit more inventory coming on the marketplace, but not significant. And what we're seeing is, let's not be confused. The low inventory doesn't mean nothing is for sale. It just means things are coming on the market and leaving, coming on the market and leaving, coming on the market, leaving. So there's no accumulation effect with inventory rising. If demand were to taper off, then we would see obviously more inventory. But what that tells you is that we've stabilized in the inventory. We're staying in the 70s, lower 80s to like lower 70s, in that range. So that means we're seeing a lot of activity, and that pending number, that 47 number, actually is an indicator of activity and demand, which is pretty healthy. We'd like to see a little bit more inventory, but it's still a healthy amount of properties coming on the market, and a healthy amount of people that are interested in obviously buying. Let's look at affordability. So a lot of people right now think, oh, we're being priced out, things are unaffordable, how could this be sustained? And there's some truth about that, but I want to debunk a little bit of that myth, because there's, affordability is more than just price. Affordability is really more than just price. It's really looking at, interest rates. It's looking at some other things besides price. So we're gonna look at that. So let me open up. Give me a minute. I want to open up a few charts. This is actually a good graph that I'd like to share with you. So I'm going to share with you that this is actually, most people won't know who she is, but for the financial gurus that are out there will know who Ivy Zellman is. And Ivy Zellman said this. She said the likelihood of us having a foreclosure crisis again is about 0%. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of money people have put down, the amount of demand, the lack of inventory, the lack of housing that was built, from 2010 to 2015. I've talked about this in prior videos that you can watch, in this YouTube channel. And, so basically what that means is that, housing crisis probably won't, the housing crisis we have is not about too many properties, it's too little properties. So it's actually the opposite of what we saw in 08, 09. That's definitely, that's part of what we're seeing. So that's something I wanted to share with you, but I'm going to share with you a couple of graphs that I think you're going to find very helpful in understanding what's really going on in real estate world. So let me get to that point where I can share with you a couple of things here. And still learning how to use a computer. I apologize. So let's get to, I had some slides open that I want to share with you that have to do with affordability. And basically what it has to do is, I'll give you the synopsis while I'm pulling this up, is, because of interest rate differences, because of the interest rate differences that are out there, and pricing and people making more money, those are things that do play a factor in determining what affordability is. So if you look at this particular slide, okay, housing affordability index, 1990 to today. Okay, 1990. First of all, the Villages was barely in existence. Let's start there. I mean, the only part that was in existence, I don't even think Spanish Springs maybe was just being created or just about to be created. I don't think it was. It was about to be created. Historic section was created, right? There was mobile homes that were created. It was mostly a mobile home community. I think Spanish Springs was early 90s, mid 90s. But anyway, affordability, like low affordability. And I don't remember what the actually I do remember. I wasn't getting paid anything. It was, $3 an hour, I think, was minimum wage or something crazy. So obviously, wages weren't that high. Prices were obviously a lot less. So that would have been in favor of affordability. But wages not being very high. Demand wasn't extremely high because we're basically selling mobile homes in this area. But something that was different, obviously a big difference, and I don't remember what the interest rates were back in 1990, but I want to say maybe 6, 7, 8% is what I think. I was alive, obviously, but I didn't have my license back then, actually just getting out of college right around that moment. So you can see, look, affordability pretty low, okay, low affordability. Then you're looking at things started to creep up through the 90s, 1993, 94, 95. Affordability factor, better than what it was, but it wasn't fantabulous, right? It wasn't a fabulous affordability factor. Then we get into the early 2000s. This is right around the time that I got my license, actually technically 1998, but really Didn't start selling until 2000. So beginning of my career, affordability was there. Interest rates were modest, I think probably 6-7%. People were making some money. Prices were low, or lower certainly than what they are now, probably higher than what they were in 1990. So a little bit of price increasing. Affordability was there. And then affordability went straight down, obviously, when the market got really, really hot, right? This is where we had the run up in demand. Inventory was still there. Construction was going crazy. Affordability went straight down. Prices went up. Actually, that's, if we're doing geometry, that's how the graph would go. Inventory going down, demand going up like this, construction doing this, pricing going this, and then affordability going down. That's what we saw here. The bottom of the marketplace for affordability, right? Prices gone up. Interest rates probably about the same. I don't think interest rates went down dramatically. Then all of a sudden, guess what? 2007. We're in big trouble now. Now inventory is picking up, foreclosure mess. Prices are going straight through the floor, going down. Now affordability is going up because prices are going down, and also interest rates were going down at the same time. This is where we see the peak of affordability back in 2011-12, looked like 2012. And then that's about where the bottom of the market was. And then prices start to go up, affordability starts to go down, and then levels off. And then we saw big price increases in 2018. Affordability goes up and a little bit down. My point is this: look at today's marketplace. Today's marketplace, if you look at the index, we're more affordable now. This is the nationwide. This is actually according to NAR, National Association of Realtors. Affordability now is much better than what it was in the 90s and the 2000s. Okay, it's not as affordable, probably the least affordable next to 2018, the least affordable time right now because the price increases, and we've seen dramatic price increases, for the last 6-7 months, beginning with end of last year, especially here in the villages, and no matter where you're looking at, whether it's Spanish Springs, Brownwood, or Sumter Landing, affordability factor really has gone, not really, but it has come down, but really is still more affordable than any of these times back here. So really interesting stuff there. So take a look at that. I want to share with you one more screen. Okay. At the end of the day, I usually have too many screens open, and that's why it's taking me time to actually pull up the stuff we need to pull up. So I'm going to show you another one that we are going to look at. And here it is. It's coming up. I'm getting good at this, or better. Shouldn't say that. I don't want to jinx myself. So, all right, here. So look at this. This is a very interesting graph here, where we're talking about single family housing units completed. Okay. 4 consecutive years of record-setting number of units. Okay. This looks at new construction. This is new construction, not just in the villages. And by the way, villages construction there's been a lot more construction, but it tells you a lot here. And it talks about, this is really going to talk about why we're in a lull in inventory. Because housing starts, single family housing units completed. This gives you a baseline. Here the average, this is the average. And this is, massive construction, 2003, 4, all the way through 2005, 6, 7. And then things start to go down right at that point, right? Massive construction, right? Above average. Then look at what happened in the last 13 years from 7 to 2020. Look at the amount of construction that's taking place here. Massive difference. Let me get back here. Sorry. I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but this is what we're looking at here. Here's this graph here. Look at the amount Look at the amount of construction that was taking place in this time period from '04 all the way through 8. And then it just completely bottoms out. And this is the reason why we're seeing such issues with inventory, new construction starts. Not necessarily in the villages, right? In the villages, pretty consistent, but we saw some drop offs here as well. There was a dip here over the last, this is probably a 5-year dip, between 7 and 12, and then it picks up again. But because of this housing shortage right here, this is the problem. This is why we're seeing a housing shortage around the country. And henceforth, that's why things have gone bananas and crazy everywhere else in the country. And because of that, it's the trickle down effect of lack of, not like lack of inventory, such high demand. So that says a lot. So if you have questions, I mean, I've covered a lot here, right? There's a lot of things that we're covering here that is really, really interesting. Lack of demand, shortage of inventory, shortage of housing starts have an impact on this market. But the affordability factor is the real point I want to stress today, that just because prices have gone up with the interest rates as low as they are, that has kept the affordability factor in place. And that's why demand is still there around the country, including here in the villages. So a lot of people are doing that. They're using, we're seeing VA loans, we're seeing conventional loans and mortgages, and people are, their money is cheap, so to speak. So they're using financing as a leverage tool, and the affordability factor is definitely there. So if you have questions, let me know. You can catch me 352-572-3796. I'm the broker here. And like whatever you need, any advice you need, whatever questions you have, just let me know. You can also register on our site. It's pretty much, look, it's going to ask you for information here at buysellthevillages.com, right? That way, right there. Buysellthevillages.com. And but it's not, we're not going to spam you. So if you have questions, or if you want to look around and see what's active on the market, just to tool around, that's perfectly okay. And even if you're 5 years out from retiring, we get a lot of people that do that. And please subscribe to this channel so you'll be notified when I am doing the latest video. So happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody does amazingly well. Stay safe if you're in Louisiana. Hear that there's a hurricane or a tropical storm heading in your direction. And we'll talk soon. Okay.